and welcome to The Division. And in this video I just wanted to give you my thoughts on something that I saw on more than one YouTube video actually. It's speculation about what the third expansion for The Division will be, and speculating what people might particularly want to see out of The Division. And the ugly word of raid came up. Now, as a gamer who has played many different games and experienced many different raids in many different games, I wanted to give you my reasons why I don't think that, or a raid in the kind of way that it's known, would be a particularly good thing for The Division. For me, and maybe I'm speaking on behalf of a few players, one of the great things about The Division is the ability to get advance, collect things as a solo player, not reliant on a team. Now, there are arguments that when we go into things like the incursions and the end game and things, if you're with a team that doesn't really know what it's doing, or people who've never done it before, and there's lack of communication, it can be very annoying. However, sooner or later these will learn what to do in the incursions, and you know, we all have to start somewhere. That's what I'm saying. So having that occur isn't particularly a huge problem, and once you've learnt how to do incursion, just like how you know the mechanics of a raid, then from then on you're going to do better, and also over time more and more people will be able to do that. So this argument that raids, you know, should always be shouldn't be matchmaking, and you should be doing it with your friends and stuff, is all very well if you do have people you can rely on to meet up with and spend hours, because most raids take hours to complete, because unless you've done it, you spent many hours and hours before doing the raid, you're bound to fail many times before you complete it for the first time, even if you're a very well coordinated group. With The Division, the matchmaking process and everything is seamless, and as I've shown and talked about in my other videos, you can go into any of the instances, including the incursions, by yourself, start them, and the game tends to balance the number of enemies and the difficulty you're presented with the number of participants. So what you'll find is that if you start a matchmaking process, you go in solo, at the beginning you won't have that many enemies. They'll, you know, you'll still have to watch yourself. It'll, depending on the difficulty and everything like that, but as more and three or four players join you, sorry, 2 or 3 other players join you, then there is noticeably more enemies, and it becomes more difficult because there are more of you and it needs to be a better challenge. But I don't want to see a situation in The Division that's actually in Destiny, where you cannot do the content, or at least attempt the content, because you're not in a group, and that also finding a group for that activity is not matchmaking. That would be terrible as far as I'm concerned. I just don't want to see it. I'm not really worried about things like making things more mechanically complicated. The designers can do that anyway, with making incursions more difficult, more ideas, or expand the number of people that can do an incursion. So instead of just 4, maybe have 8, and all of that can be matchmaking, and it can all be tiered and all of that. So what I would like to say, and I think I said this in my video log, was that I would like to see more story content. So anything that's introduced in the third expansion, whether it's more incursions or things like that, should be story based as far as I'm concerned, because we've had 2 expansions that deal with game mechanics, you know, different ways of playing, different gameplay varieties, and I would like to see more variety in terms of these repeatable story missions and in terms of incursions. Personally, I think that would add a lot more variety and more challenges. So if they can do that and also tie it in with some developed story, maybe hinting at other things that might come in the future, that would be a perfect third installment as far as I'm concerned for a player like myself. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. That's my thoughts on the issue. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Catch you later.